Water. We see so much of it on Vancouver Island. It's so beautiful. Why would we worry about it here? The Regional District of Nanaimo, along with provincial experts and local stakeholders, have been looking into whether there's a concern about water for drinking or water for habitat here in central Vancouver Island. This short video tries to introduce what we found. The Regional District is asking electoral area voters to consider an initiative called Action for Water. Before we act, let's consider the current state of water in the region. Let's quickly review what we know and what we don't know. Here in the Regional District, we get lots of rainfall in the winter, but we often have summer drought, and it's common for some homeowners to be short of water in summer and in early fall. Experts tell us, with climate change coming, that our summer droughts will likely get more severe. All of our drinking water comes from rain or snow falling on island watersheds. Most of the residents in electoral areas rely on wells, either private wells or community wells that support a local piped system. The groundwater that supports these wells comes from aquifers. Aquifers are reservoirs that are either in underground sediment or in fractured layers of rock. Some wells draw groundwater from near the surface. Because this shallow groundwater is open to influence from water and land uses on the surface, these open or unconfined aquifers are the most vulnerable to contamination or impacts of surface land use. In Walkerton, Ontario, in the year 2000, 7 people died and thousands more were made sick due to a contamination of a shallow well in fractured bedrock. Other wells, including most community wells, are drilled deep and are likely drawing from aquifers below a confining layer of till or solid rock. The water in these confined aquifers enters the ground in a recharge area. A recharge area is where rain or snowmelt sinks slowly into the ground. Recharge areas may be far removed from the well. We don't have a good picture here in the Regional District where the recharge areas are for our major aquifers. We don't know if recharge areas are at risk due to existing or planned land uses. We're not really sure how much groundwater we have. It varies from place to place in the region. Some areas have wells that go dry every year. Even when the wells run fairly consistently, year to year, we don't have the information to know if we're actually gradually drawing down the aquifers. If we overpump the aquifers, we're also likely to dry up our streams in the summer, and we'll lose the fish and the other creatures in them. On the seacoast, overpumping can lead to saltwater intrusion. Wells near the seashore are invaded by salty groundwater when they draw down the freshwater table too much. There's a lot that we don't know about watersheds and groundwater in this region. This lack of knowledge makes land use decisions more risky than necessary. We could be approving development based on a groundwater supply that is already fully used. The wells for development or adjacent property might run out in a few years due to overpumping. When water to large developments runs dry, the region would face pressure to spend millions of public dollars to find a replacement source of water. Action for Water would support the science to let us understand our watersheds and aquifers. How much water is there? Where are the boundaries? How are the aquifers connected? What's the quality of water? With that information, we can use land use planning and engineering standards to manage growth more effectively so that we have groundwater and water supplies in the long term. Another aspect of watershed management that we should address with Action for Water is what's called impervious surfaces. Before development, forests and grasslands in our region absorb water and soak it into the ground. This replenishes groundwater, supports our wells and summer stream flow. After development, roofs and pavement, if flowing directly to stormwater pipes, increase the amount of surface water into streams. And this runoff reduces the amount of water infiltration that replenishes groundwater supplies in summer. Small streams stop flowing in summer and fall. They start to grow algae. If the storm drains from roof and pavement go direct to the stream, the increased flows create more erosion, more energy in the channel. I've seen urban streams cut down as much as equivalent to my height, which is 1.5 meters. And you see this bank behind me that's a fresh erosion scarp. You can see the tree roots that have been exposed due to the erosion. Down below this erosion site, where the stream grade flattens out, the pools fill in with sediment that was eroded from up above. In British Columbia, we prize our salmon and our natural streams. The last thing we want to do is to destroy these habitats. But urban development, without proper practices, can do just that. And beyond that loss, fixing these streams, stopping the erosion and removing the sediment, all of it to protect property from landslides or from flooding, is costing. It's costing developers or municipalities in British Columbia millions of dollars. Fortunately, there are better ways to develop that reduce the risks to habitat and to drinking water. Stormwater detention ponds or constructed wetlands like this one can reduce the flows of water and the risks of flooding and in-stream erosion. To keep streams flowing in the summertime, we need base flows. We need infiltration into the ground. To do that, we can use techniques like pervious paving or rain gardens that might take water from roof and soak it back in through the soil. Along roadsides, we can use infiltration swales, either with trees and shrubs or a grass surface, to take the water from the roads and the parking areas and infiltrate it back into the ground. Infiltration into soil is very effective. It takes out pollutants and delivers clean, cool groundwater to streams. It's this slow seepage that keeps the small streams running in the heat of the summer and the fall. But there are many aspects of our development process that need to change to get these techniques widely used. Action for Water and the Regional District is looking at providing technical standards for these techniques to ensure that regional regulations allow for and encourage the use of these techniques, and also to cooperate and work with the development industry on training and easy ways to get this implemented. Water conservation is another major step in supporting our groundwater and our habitat. The Regional District has been a leader in moving to low-flow toilets and low-flow shower heads in buildings. An additional 30% or more of our water use can be cut by using rain-fed cisterns for garden water and for toilet flushing. Better garden design or weather-based irrigation time clocks allow garden watering to use the minimum water that's necessary. New technologies like these to make water conservation easy are becoming mainstream around the world. And Action for Water will bring these new technologies into use in the Regional District of Nanaimo. Better management of urban development and other land uses and resulting better watershed hydrology will give our salmon and our trout and our wells a better chance of adjusting to climate change. And if we can protect the streams, the groundwater, and the fish, with that comes the birds, the waterfowl, the entire aquatic ecosystem that we enjoy. and a long-term supply of healthy drinking water. So what did our research tell us? We think there's symptoms of trouble ahead on Vancouver Island. As growth continues, we think the risks are going to get worse. But we also see a lot of opportunity because Vancouver Island is not as far along in terms of development as most places in the world. We have a chance to learn from what's happened elsewhere and avoid those problems here. I think for drinking water for people, not dealing with the risks could be dangerous in the long run. I think for water for habitat, for birds, for fish, for amphibians, not dealing with the risks could be tragic, even in the short term. There's impacts happening now. So yes, we think there's a need for action for water. We think there's a need to move on it as quickly as we can. We think there's every hope that it will be successful, and it will keep the amount and the quality of water that makes Vancouver Island such a wonderful place to live.